Did you know that mentorship can dramatically reduce recidivism rates? Now, I know stats can sound a little cold sometimes, but think about this. People who have mentors when they come home from prison are up to 40% less likely to reoffend. 40%. And that's not just a number, that's thousands of families staying together, thousands of kids who don't have to visit their parents through plexiglass and on prison yards, thousands of communities that are safer and stronger. Now, let's set the scene. Picture somebody walking out of those prison gates for the first time in years. Maybe they've been locked up 5, 10, I don't know, even 15, 20 years. Now, the world they step into is not the world they left behind, of course. Technology is different. People have moved on. Society is moving 100 miles per hour while they're still just trying to catch their breath. Everybody says fresh start, but here's the reality: it's not fresh, it's not easy, and it's definitely not simple. So here's the part we don't talk about enough: when freedom can feel just as overwhelming as incarceration. Imagine going into a store and realizing that you don't know how self checkout works, or filling out a job application and not even understanding the language they are using, right? That's a mountain of anxiety stacked on top of the stigma of having a record. Without guidance, without somebody to lean on, the statistics paint a pretty bleak picture. At least like 68% of people released from prison are rearrested within 3 years. By year five, that number climbs to over 75%. That's not just failure on the individual, it's a failure on all of us. But here's where it gets good, guys. This is where it really gets good. Mentorship comes into play. One person, just one person saying, "Hey, I've got you. Let's figure this out together." That simple act of connection turns an empty void into possibility. It gives hope, and hope is fuel. Let's get into the conviction fiction. All right, that's what we're talking about today, guys. How mentorship doesn't just change one person's story, it can send ripples through families, through communities, society as a whole. From the first struggles of reentry to the life changing guidance of a mentor to the transformation that follows, all the way to the community impact. It's a journey worth unpacking. We're going to dive in. Right. My name is Antoine Rivers. I'm the host of the Conviction Fiction. And today we're going to start with the hard truth. Coming home is tough. We all know that. Not kind of tough, not a little bit inconvenient. I mean, brutally tough. And the day a person walks out of prison, the world expects them to kind of magically rebuild their lives with very little help. Think about that. Handed a bus ticket, maybe a check for a couple of bucks that you might have left on your books, and then you're told, "Hey, go figure it out." That's like dropping somebody in the middle of the desert and saying, "Hey, there's water somewhere. Just go find it. Good luck." And employment, I think, for most of us, is usually the first wall people hit. According to the Prison Policy Initiative, the unemployment rate for formerly incarcerated individuals is about 27%. So let's put that in perspective. That's higher than the US unemployment rate during the Great Depression, first of all. Employers see that box check for felony conviction, and 9 times out of 10, that's the end of the conversation. It doesn't matter if you got skill, doesn't matter if you have the drive. That one box can speak louder than your entire resume. Housing is another issue. It's a complete nightmare because studies have shown that formerly incarcerated people are 10 times more likely to be homeless than the general population. Landlords can legally deny application based on criminal records, and many do that. And that leaves people bouncing between couches, shelters, or even worse, back into environments that fueled their mistakes in the first place. And then there's that invisible weight when we try to challenge on this show, and that's stigma. Friends you used to know keep their distance. Families want to trust you again, but they're a little bit cautious. Society looks at you and doesn't see potential; they see a problem, and that wears on a person. It chips away at hope. So, what happens when there's no support? The numbers tell the story. Like nearly 7 out of 10 people released from prison end up back inside within 3 years. That's just a fact. And here's the thing: most of them don't go back because they want to. Nobody wants to go back to prison, do they? No. I think they go back because survival outside feels impossible. It's nearly impossible. And that's the void. That's the empty space that so many people feel when they come home. Space filled with fear, loneliness, and haunting thought that, hey, maybe I just don't belong out here, right? Maybe I just can't make it. And this is where mentorship steps in because it can fill the void with connection, direction, and most importantly, a belief. Now, let's get into why this seed of support can actually help because we first need to understand like what does mentorship look like. Let's strip away all that formal definition stuff and just keep it real, right? That's what we do on the Conviction Fiction podcast. Mentorship is just one human being saying to another human being, you don't have to walk alone. It's not a parole officer checking a box. It's not a program shoving a flyer in your hand or pamphlets like what I talked about on one episode with one person in a transition home. And it's like I was kind of taken aback by this program because they just wasn't pushing pamphlets in my hand. Mentorship is someone who shows up consistently and says, I believe in you. And that's very, very powerful. Let me just paint a picture for you real quick. A guy named Marcus gets out after 12 years of prison, sitting at a coffee shop across from a mentor, feeling like he doesn't even belong in public. His hands are shaking. Maybe he hasn't had a normal conversation outside of prison in over a decade. Um, he's just waiting for judgment, honestly, just waiting for that look that says, hey, you're not worth my time. But instead, the mentor leans in and says, hey, look, tell me about yourself. Just tell me about yourself. That one moment, that's the seed. That's where trust starts to grow. Now, mentors help with the practical stuff. Sure, they help out, but they also walk through job applications. They walk through role play interviews. They try to explain how credit works or why LinkedIn is actually a thing. For someone who's been locked away since before smartphones, this guidance is life saving. But beyond the practical, mentorship tackles the emotional. It gives someone permission to hope again. And the data backs it up. I mean, this is not anything that I'm making up on this podcast. I try to do my research to make sure that I'm giving you guys exactly not only my personal walk through this journey, but also the statistics that back all of what I'm saying up. For instance, the RAND Corporation, they found that reentry programs with mentorship components can reduce recidivism by up to 50%. That means that's like half the people who might have gone back are now staying free instead. Think about what that ripple creates. There's so many important parts to this because it isn't about someone just swooping in to save someone. It's not charity. It's not just I'm giving freely. It's partnership. It's walking side by side saying, I can't do the work for you, but I'll walk with you while you do it. That's what makes it work. That's what makes it. That's what mentorship is all about. Now, I've had mentors over my lifetime, and I always have this personal segment where I talk about like a person that kind of walk with me. There have been several mentors that I have, and I try to give them shout outs every day. Some of them are mentors; they don't even know that they're mentors. They're actually just friends, right? They're just actually friends that I've known over the years, and we kind of walk with each other. Okay, um, the real magic happens when those mentors just don't hand out tools. We don't want mentors to hand out tools. We just want to spark transformation. If you've ever watched transformation up close, you know it's not really flashy. It's not some overnight success story. It's basically small steps stacked one on top of each other until one day the person looks back and like, hey, I can barely recognize who I used to be. Right. And it happens a lot with me. I talk to my wife a lot. She's a mentor. She's my wife. Shout out to my wife, but she's a mentor also because um I walk with her and I often look back and like, hey, look how far we've come. Um, so going back on subject, think about this. Just think about this for a minute. A returning citizen who hasn't held a job in years, find the last interview, got the interview. You're in front of someone. You've went through all of the red tape. Somehow you beat the algorithm, and your resume got through. Right. I want to send a special shout out to Robin Grable over at the Sin Initiative. Right. You want to research her, she will give you some hints and tips and actually put you in her program where your resume doesn't mean as much. It's about the skills that you have. They've created an AI platform that will allow skills based um, resumes to go through. Right now, going back, this citizen, turned a citizen, hasn't held a job in years, blah, blah, blah. On the last interview, gets through the red tape, the rhythm and roll. And now their mentor sat with them the night. Some questions, help them figure out how to talk about their past without being defined by it. So the next day, they walk into the with their shoulders a little bit straighter. Maybe they don't get the job, but the confidence that will forever stay. That's the spark because you tried, you put your due diligence in, and at the end of the day, mentorship is like planting those seeds. Sprout quickly, like learning how to budget, how to set up a bank account, or even open an email. Others take a little bit longer, like rebuilding your self worth or developing healthier coping mechanisms other than, say, drugs or violence. All of them matter. One mentee once said to me, my mentor didn't just teach me how to pay bills, they taught me I was worth paying bills for. Right? Think about that again. That's what transformation looks like. My mentor didn't just teach me how to pay bills, they taught me I was worth paying bills for. So you are worth having your electricity on. You are worth that car note because you need those things to survive. You need electricity. You need a way to get around. That's what transformation looks like. Not just the skills, but a shift in how you see yourself. This isn't just about some feel good talk. The numbers back it up. The National Mentoring Resource Center reports that mentees show higher levels of confidence, better coping skills, and a stronger sense of purpose compared to peers without mentor. That emotional resilience, guys, being able to handle rejection, being able to handle stress, or even temptation. This is what's going to keep you or other people from sliding back into old patterns. Okay. Think about how that ripples, right? A person who once thought, I can't do this, now believes, I got this. That shift impacts every choice they make. When someone says, I can't do this, their choices are different from when they say, I've got this. So now, if you got this, you can handle conflict. You can how show up for your community. You can learn how to parent, right? If you say you've got this instead of I can't handle it. Transformation doesn't just stop at one life, guys. It spills over into an entire community. Now, when we think about it, we have to somehow expand this idea. Right? Let's just zoom out for a minute, because when one person changes, it never just stays at just one person. That's the ripple effect that we're talking about on this episode of the Conviction Fiction. Start with the family. Person says, I've got this. A parent who was once incarcerated comes home, stays home. Their kids don't just get a provider, they get a role model. They see resilience, they see responsibility, they see someone who admits their past but refuses to be chained by it. They can break those generational cycles of incarceration right there. And then it kind of spreads out into the community. Those returning citizens who've been mentored often turn around and start to mentor others. Why? Why do they mentor others? Why do they mentor others? I got to speak. It's been a rough day I had. A couple of bills that I had to take care of today, but it was all worth it because I'm worth it. You know, certain stuff you think you deserve, then you have to pay the bills. Like, why? But it's okay. Uh, um, I know firsthand what it feels like to walk out of those prison gates scared, confused, and alone. I know the power of somebody saying, I've got you. And when they pass that torch, it multiplied because I started telling others that I've got you. The bigger picture is that communities with strong mentorship and reentry support see lower crime rates, higher employment, and stronger economy. Every person who stays out of prison saves taxpayers about 31 grand a year. Multiply that by the thousands, and you're talking about money that could go into the schools, that can go into healthcare, community development instead of prison beds. Even mentors benefit. Many will tell you, and I will tell you, that I thought I was here to give, but I ended up receiving just as much. This is one of the things I talk about on the podcast a lot. If you've been listening to Conviction Fiction, you heard me say the only way that I can keep what I have by giving it away. And that's that inner peace. That's that sense of purpose, right? That's that perspective. It's not a one-way street. It's a partnership that changes both lives. Imagine tossing a pebble into a pond, just like you throwing a rock over into a lake or something. The first ripple is the mentee. The next ripple will touch their family, then it hits their community. Soon it's a society that is going to benefit from those waves. That's how the ripple effect worked. And it all started with one relationship. Now, as always, it's very important to have a call to action for what's going on here with the mentorship. I come on here. I try to mentor as many people as I can through this podcast, because if you're listening, that means that you feel that there's some direction that you need or whatnot. I appreciate your listeners. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Go to Amazon, buy that book, right? Go buy one of the books. Matter of fact, and now for a quick commercial break. If you are ready to transform your life today, No Turning Back, The Journey Home and the Work Within is more than just a book. It's a roadmap for redemption, resilience, and rebuilding. In this deeply personal and powerful narrative, I share my journey from incarceration to empowerment, and I kind of weave together stories of struggle, growth, and transformation with a little help from my friends. With raw honesty and a message of hope, this book is a must read for anyone seeking to break free from the past, embrace second chances, and build a better future. So if you are ready to turn the page on your story, No Turning Back will inspire you to confront your challenges, embrace your potential, and take that first step toward change. Get your copy today and start your own journey toward healing and transformation. All right, so where do you come in? Because this isn't just a story, it's an invitation. First, I invite you to go buy my book, or one of the books, No Turning Back, or the first book, which was more of like a memoir to like give you a foundation, who I am, where I come from. That's the Conviction Fiction. First book. Go check them out on Amazon. There'll be links in the bio, links on this podcast page. But that's one way you can. But here's another way. You don't need a perfect resume or a background in criminal justice or decades of experience. What you need is simple consistency, empathy, and the willingness to listen. That's all you need in order to contribute or change the narrative. That's it. Those three things: consistency, empathy, and the willing to listen. Those three things can be the difference between someone going back inside or staying free. Now, here's what you can do right now. Mentor. Look up organizations near you. Go to Prison Fellowship. Go to Beyond the Chains. Go to Dream Builders. Go to the Fortune Society. Go to One More Question. Go to all those local nonprofits because they're always looking for people willing to show up. You can also give your support if your time is tight. Consider financial contributions. Even small donations can cover transportation for someone to get to work or buy a suit for a job to interview. And also, advocate. Go out and challenge the stereotypes when you hear them. Share stories of transformation. Remind people that returning citizens are not their past, they're their potential. And here's the kicker, guys. Mentorship doesn't just change their life, it'll change yours. It'll give you perspective. It'll give you purpose. It'll remind you that human connection, real, consistent connection, is still the most powerful tool that we've got. So let me leave you with this, guys. Mentorship can reduce recidivism by up to 40%. Go back, read the statistics, listen to this episode again. That's just not a stat. That's families kept together. That's safer neighborhoods. That's lives reclaimed. And that ripple effect doesn't just start with policies or programs. It starts with the people. It starts with one hand reaching out to another, and maybe, just maybe, that hand could be yours. This is the Conviction Fiction. I want to thank you for joining. See you guys later.